Hey, welcome back to your weekly wine, whiskey, bourbon, and all things barrel-aged podcast.
I just want to get it out. I got to get it out of my system now. I got to get it out of my system now because we have the Old Crow on deck tonight. Old Crow on deck for everyone.
Awesome.
This is a continuation of our Bottom Shelf Bangers series.
Bottom shelf bangers. Hashtag bottom shelf bangers.
And we have to see. So I've never had Old Crow. Okay.
I don't think I have either.
I would say I go by the stereotype that it's got a very bad. I mean, it's plastic jug, bottom shelf.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a good reputation, I think, in my mind.
I think there's a reason
I don't know
for
much
that.
about it. We did look up a little bit of the story, so we are now educated, and we hope to pass it on to you tonight to teach you a little bit about some Old Crow history.
We ain't gonna be old crows, but Dr. James Crowington's medicinal whiskey.
What did I say about the division of our ignorant fantasy land versus reality? We're not gonna blend the two together tonight.
I know, and that's why I said it, because I really wanted everybody to hear you say that.
Because here's the thing, me and you could do this show tonight.
Oh yeah,
and give a complete false history of the Old Crow in great detail.
Oh yeah,
and everybody would believe it.
Oh, I agree.
And we're not going down that rabbit hole.
I love this. We may have to record this
as
extra content. Like, you got to pay $5 on Patreon to watch us give you the
fictional,
actual history.
Dr. James. What is it? James Crow Crowington?
The unabridged history of Dr. James Crow Crowington's Old Crow medicinal whiskey.
That's a great idea. Uncle Punky.
Hey,
welcome to the show.
What's up, Punky?
Great to see you. Great to see you.
So, yeah, Old Crow. I'm with you. I think that would I call this a bottom shelf banger? So,
no, hold on. But have you had it before?
Never had it.
Okay, this is okay. We're both
never had it,
this.
but
okay,
we
by
laugh
reputation.
About. Yeah, we laugh about, and we see it all the time. We're like, hey, let's pick up some Old Crow. We'll get that old tub on top of it.
And then you're like, let's get that Old Crow. You got this like plastic.
You know why? You know why it's plastic, guys? Oh, whoops.
Yeah, exactly.
And the bottle is still standing
as it breaks open. Okay, so not a good reputation.
No, I'd say this doesn't have a great reputation. We'll talk about why that is. I think that it may be earned, right? This may be a drink for effect. But we're going to talk about that and get into a little bit.
On that? I didn't even know this is 80 proof.
80 proof, 40%.
Okay. That color on camera, I didn't even see this, looks terrible.
That's because I dropped it and aerated it.
Oh, so that's what that is?
So that's a bunch of aeration bubble.
Yeah, it is.
It's a bunch of bubbles. Hey, I hyper aerated your whiskey.
Hyper decanted.
I hyper decanted the whiskey in the plastic bottle tonight.
Oh, you're gonna open it. Oof. Did it crack? Did we get like a crack?
There was no crack.
There was no crack to the seal.
It did not go out with a bang, but with a whimper.
All right. Ooh, there goes the pour. I get no nose, and it's not a prominent nose.
Okay. Take it out of the bottle. Take it out of the bottle.
Well, it's got that ethanol. It's going to be...
But it's an interesting smell, and I'm curious what you think that smells like out of the bottle.
I hate to say it, Listerine. I get like straight up
there is some
Listerine, like the brown Listerine, or was that the...
There is a little Listerine astringency, but I was going to say it smells like wet cedar chips.
It does have a little bit of that
like
wet wood.
Cedar.
Yeah, the wood cedar. Shelly, welcome to the show. Shelly, it's good to see you. It's been a while. I think,
we got
right?
Punky. Shelly was here 2 weeks ago.
I remember 2 weeks ago. Okay. That's it. There we go.
So we're drinking out of, let's talk again. We lightly hit on it, but we want to talk about the officially unofficial new glass of the Barrel Buddies.
Guys, so I went to a shout out to Corey's for this. Corey's is one of our fantastic liquor store and wine store proprietor here in Vegas. And they had the inventor and patent holder of the neat glass, which most of you have probably seen this by now. You may have seen this. It's a fairly popular glass.
It's like a more fat-bottomed girl version of the Glencairn that really flares at the mouth.
Yeah, and he goes through this whole presentation on how it's such a better glass, and then you do a side-by-side with Glencairn and the neat glass. Guys, I'm going to tell you I was sold.
Well, I think we're going to do that. I think that I think that'll be a good
show
content.
for another. Yeah, it's going to be its own separate
I think
show.
that'll be a good content show. So nose right out of this new neat glass. Kind of running the gambit.
Luke, welcome to the show. I haven't seen you around before, so
What's up,
welcome.
Luke?
But he says, shouldn't you drink this out of a paper bag? Yeah, exactly.
Well,
no, this
the reason you've never seen it before is because it usually is in a
and
paper
it goes,
bag.
You know, hides right in the large pocket of your shirt and or your jacket, and it comes out of the paper bag.
Just the neck, though. Just the neck. Everything else stays hidden, and you're like,
So what do you think? Okay, give me your first initial impressions.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought the first thing I smelled when I put my nose down into this was a little, like a little banana runts and Skittles, like when you smell a bag of Skittles candy. But that's really given away. I think that may have just been the ethanol coming off the top.
So I was looking to see if we had any
Beamer.
Yeah, but hold on a second, because we haven't gotten there. I want to get to the story of this guy. So
I'm getting out of the nose. I'm gonna bring out some things we haven't talked about recently, so that's interesting. I'm getting corn, like cornbread or elote corn,
like corn and like walnuts, like pecans, walnuts, like
a lot of honey. There's a lot of honey on that nose.
Interesting.
There is some nuttiness,
but
I think that's more back to like a roasted corn. That might be the oak.
Safi, welcome to the
corn.
show.
What's up, Safi?
All right.
So I'm actually really excited to take the first sip and let you tell what might be the most entertaining whiskey story I've ever heard.
And to really understand what Old Crow is, right? Because you guys, after I tell you this little story that we go through, you're going to be very surprised, or not surprised, and then you kind of think it's like a shady business practice.
Oh, I don't know. There are shady business practices with this for sure. So
anyway,
cheers to you,
cheers,
sir.
Cheers to you, Beej, and cheers to our friends out there. Cheers. Let us know what you guys are also, if you're having a beverage with us tonight. Let us know in the chat what you guys are drinking, and then we're going to get into some Dr. James C. Crow. No relation to James Crow Crowington.
Hey, they are related. Don't mix fantasy and fact.
A German scientist.
Stop it. Stop it.
In the 1830s.
This is for another show, damn it.
That helped invent the submarine. I don't know if you've heard about him and his journey to the United States. Well, at that time it was.
Stop it. They don't know. They don't know that you're
undiscovered country.
Just take your first sip. Okay. Take your first sip, and then tell us this great story.
I'm kind of scared to sip this.
No, you shouldn't be. That first sip I found to be very pleasant. Bready. It's pretty long fused as far as when you don't taste it the moment it hits your lips.
There's no sweetness at all. I'm not getting anything sweet.
So I got some corn and some bread. Not a ton of sweetness, but it's
strange.
I'm gonna say cardboard, like dull.
Dull
is a great way to put it.
There's nothing sweet about this. This is the strangest thing I've probably tasted on this show.
No, you've definitely tasted stranger.
We've had some bad stuff, but from a bourbon point of view, there's no sweetness. There's no vanilla caramel, like sugary sweetness. It's just barely to your point. It's like kind of biscuity.
Yeah, like I get bread or cracker, but it's cardboard. It's dry, not dry
it's dry. There's a dryness in there,
but it's kind of cardboardy.
Biff tannins, but there's no.
I don't think there's tannins in this.
But it's got that Biff tannin dryness, but not the Biff tannin flavor.
Yeah, like I feel it. It's pretty dry on the palate and not long lasting. But I'm going to continue to sip this. I don't hate it, right? I don't want to spit this out. I don't want to get rid of it.
Thinner than water. That I'm like, it's so weird on the palate.
So where water, right? Water has. You're right. Water has its own viscosity. This literally feels like a solution.
Yeah, it's strange.
But I think that plays into the actual story of Old Crow and those pH levels and all those things that made it stand out once upon a time as America's #1 bourbon whiskey. Tell us all about it, James.
Dr. James C. Crow, Scottish immigrant.
Really is his name.
It is his name. This is fact. These are Wikipedia, internet, Google facts.
You're not helping us.
Here we go.
Keep going for
Stop
Dr. James
on.
C. Crow.
Okay. So he's a Scottish immigrant, 1830s. He migrated to what is now or then Frankfort, Kentucky. So
not Germany.
Not Germany. Frankfort, Kentucky, which is obviously it's the heart of bourbon country, right? And he settles down, starts distilling, and he becomes known for this very analytical, mathematical distiller. So he was very well known for writing down all of his information of all of his batches, recipes, pH level of the water, minerality content, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
He would document all these facts, whereas other distillers are really just kind of winging it and going off a taste.
Like, hey, it tastes good, and
Like,
it doesn't
all
make me
right,
go blind.
Put 2 scoops of rye, 2 scoops of barley, 1 scoop of, whatever. And no, he's like counting everything meticulously. So anyway, it actually ends up blowing up. Like it becomes a really huge brand of bourbon whiskey in kind of that mid to late 1800s. Okay. The problem is in 1856 when he dies, so about 20-ish years after the Old Crow was taken off, plenty of time for a brand to kind of saturate and become very popular.
Oh, yeah. Well rooted.
He dies, and this company, the Heritage Distillery, decides to jump in and purchase Old Crow because they're like, hey, buy Old Crow because it's so popular.
Makes sense.
To find out, the recipe actually died with James Crow, with the doc.
Okay.
And his assistant distiller, they end up Heritage Distilling ends up taking this guy and promoting him to master distiller.
That's
but
one
he
way to
still
do it.
Doesn't know. He just knows kind of like the odds and ends. Like doesn't know everything to the exact T that James Crow did this.
So this was
so already your recipe's now not 100%. It's close, but it's still not the original. So anyway, then you get into like the Civil War era.
Okay.
So you have what was
so
his
like late 1800s now.
Yep. So his visage or his an image of James Crow was on the bottle. Old Crow.
Wait, it's not his image today?
But no, so that's the thing. So during the Civil War, it transitioned once Heritage bought it and he died over to the Crow.
The Crow
we see today. The Crow
now
you see today. But it looked very similar if you know the E.H. Taylor bottles. All the E.H. Taylor brand has his face on the front.
Or like
Old
Granddad has Basil Hayden's image on the front.
Yeah.
So this is a long-standing tradition of putting your face on a whiskey.
Yeah. So anyway, shoot up here into the Prohibition era. Okay. So now we get to Prohibition.
Okay.
It becomes one of the top-selling medicinal whiskeys during Prohibition.
Wow.
Blows up.
We talked about Old Granddad being a top.
Old Granddad was known for that as well.
But you're saying this was the top.
Names, but Old Crow, well, it says one of the top.
Okay.
We'll say it was right up there with Old Granddad.
Fair.
We'll say, okay?
And some of the others.
But very well known.
Hofstadters.
Right. But you think about this during Prohibition, like the name picks up.
Sure. Like, it's easy to say. It's fun.
It's easy to say. It gets some of that Old Crow, et cetera, et cetera. So we get through Prohibition after it being one of the flagship medicinal whiskeys. And then apparently this is where the story gets a little muddy. Okay.
So they stop keeping good record.
Yeah, they stop kind of keeping good record. And apparently what happens, this is such a weird kind of story. Apparently between like the 1950s and the 1980s, there was a production error. So apparently how you make sour mash, because this is a sour mash, you have to take a portion of the spent mash of a previous batch, and that goes into the new batch.
Kind of like making sourdough bread.
Exactly.
You got to have a mother. We've talked about
That's what it is. It basically introduces those common yeast from the previous batch to break down and produce the alcohol in the new distillate.
Got to have that mother. Okay.
That's exactly very, very similar.
Sure.
So anyways, apparently that ratio got screwed up and it started negatively impacting the taste. So apparently, like, it just got out there on market,
Okay.
and people were buying it, and they're like, "Whoa, this isn't the Old Crow I used to drink." And pretty much anybody, I mean, if you drank this daily, or you guys know, if you guys drink a
Yeah.
whiskey or bourbon,
You know what it
like,
tastes like.
you know what it tastes like,
Right.
and you know when it does not. Like, if someone tries to trick you, like, "Oh, try, hey, some of this," and you're like, "No, that's not, Elijah Craig."
You're like,
whatever.
yeah, no, I know what that is. That's not that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Sure.
they don't know if it's the distillery's inability or it's their unwillingness to correct this problem, but they never correct it.
Oh my God. You mean they screw this up and then go, yeah, well, just keep let it happening.
They don't know.
But they don't know if that was
maybe the
known or
distiller
unknown.
never figured it out, and they just thought that their brand was declining, and they just kind of let it
Wow.
go. But anyways, so what ended up
Okay.
happening is that it led to basically the decline of the Old Crow empire, we'll call it, and people just stopped buying Old Crow, and then it was sold off to Jim Beam in 1987.
Our good buddies over at Beam.
All right. So what they did, they just kind of said, you know what, guys? We don't know. It's all muddy from here. You guys have a terrible product. We're just going to abandon the product completely.
So kill the mother, kill the recipe,
just
kill
get
the
rid
distillate.
of it all.
Okay.
And we're just going to give you 3-year Jim Beam mash bill distillate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, not distillate. Now it's actual bourbon. We're just going to give you 3-year Jim Beam, and you're going to throw it in Old Crow bottles.
We bought everything about Old Crow, and here's 3-year-old Beam. You're telling me this is just Beam.
So since 1987,
which I knew,
this is just 3-year-old Jim Beam. You could just throw a Jim Beam label on it and say it's 3-year-old Jim Beam.
But I'm going to be honest. I think that this is a great way to talk about. I think this is going to be a good show. I just thought about this. We need to talk about age statement and really taste about how the barrel Lamaze, the barrel practice of storing and barreling that distillate really plays an effect on time, because we talk about the sweet spot of times in bourbon. Somewhere between 6 and 8 years is pretty sweet. When you start getting up into the 12s and the 13s, you can get a really great product, but it may not necessarily be good because you could start to get too much of the barrel molecule into your now beverage, your spirit. I think knowing that this is 3-year-old Beam and putting it up against some other Beam products as we progressively age will just really show you Beam distillate, because that's something we talked about last week with Old Grandad. Old Grandad, also a Beam acquisition in the 1980s, just like Old Crow. But Old Grandad, they didn't come in and just say, here's Beam distillate. They said, we're going to keep the Old Grandad. It was one of the very few that they did that with. But yeah, it's sad to hear, but understandable why they would trash the whole project and then start new with what they know is good.
Yeah, and Safi brings up an interesting question, which I'm trying to get the answer for here.
Read it for our listeners.
Well, how many years is Jim Beam? I don't know how old Jim Beam is.
I think Jim Beam is 4 to 6. Don't we have to have a white bottle, right?
Than that. Maybe on the bottom shelf there we might have one, but if someone can find it before I can, and I'm on their website here trying to figure out. But if anybody has that information, I mean, you might get some information on the Old Tub bottle, because I don't know if they keep it the same as Old Tub, which they might.
You know what? It's funny. I like Old Tub. So if subscriber 1000 is on, he knows we've done some. We've had some Old Tub together, and I think that. Yeah, I think Old Tub is.
So Luke's saying 3.5 years. So maybe it's a little bit older than what they put in the Old Crow. That's what I'm guessing too. It's probably just a shy.
Well, older. And then what's Luke? What's the percentage on?
I think it's an
Beam?
80 or an 86.
Because this tastes proof down, not in a bad way, but it tastes like you had a cube in it and it came to room temp.
So they do 80, 86, and 100 proof. Trying to find out some info here at Jim Beam.
All right, well,
yeah, I don't mean to be quiet here. I'm just trying to get some more of this.
I've been sipping this, so I'm just going to talk a little bit.
Yeah, it says so on their website, they claim now it's 4 years of aging in newly charred American white oak.
Okay, so regular Beam is 4, and this is a year younger.
This is 3.
Okay, I think that I do think, though, there's a nice vertical that we could put together for you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm not offended by this.
It's okay. Like, I'm not
hate it.
disgusted by it. Yeah, it's not like, oh, this is trash. Don't go buy this.
I don't love it.
I don't love it either.
Would I pour myself Old Crow next time I came over? No. Would I reach for it on the shelf? No. Would I pick up a bottle from my own bar? No. Would I take
Put it in a
shots of
cocktail?
this at 8 a.m? Yes.
So I think probably what creates that special, interesting flavor is that James Crow Crowington brought the barrels over from Germany.
Stop it. We're not going to do this.
He's a German
tonight.
scientist.
We're not going
I
to do
don't
this
know if
tonight. I love that you turned me on my head. You really know how to get me. You turned me over.
Myth. That is not a fact of Old Crow.
I feel, you know what I feel like?
Yeah, it's not good. Luke's like, he's like, it's trash. Like, it's not good. It's not bad though. It's not like, we've had some stuff on this show, and you guys know if you've watched some.
Oh, we've had some garbage.
Are disgusting.
We've had some garbage.
Where it's
stuff
like,
I spit out.
I can't even take another sip.
Yeah. And this is not that way.
This isn't awful. It's not good. It's not bad. I'll finish the rest of the glass.
Yeah, I think that this is something you can easily take shots of. Like, this is something that if you need a good shooting whiskey, a shooting bourbon,
it sits in the glass, that beam nuttiness comes through. You get a lot of that.
Do you? You get that beam?
You get that
I'm not getting it.
Kind of like pressed peanut sweepings in the background. So
sweepings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw my number out here.
Hold on. It's a good whiskey to drink when camping, Uncle Punky says. I don't know, Uncle Punk.
I feel like that's a story, but I agree. I don't think that this is that. I guess the difference is, right? How much of this do you think you could drink without getting tipsy? Probably a lot.
I was gonna say I could probably drink that. That was at 375. That's a half. 375.
No, this is a 750.
Oh, it's a 750?
Look at the bottom. It's a 750.
Oh, wow.
I was also shocked at this because I'm like, how freaking small is this?
This makes sense, though. To Punky's point, take it camping. This is easy. You just throw this in a backpack. It's not going to take up a lot of your weight.
It's
plastic. A light bottle. It's a plastic bottle. Yeah,
you might be right on that.
Yeah, because do you really want to lug around some heavy glass bottle of whatever, right? If we go,
what if you need to break it though, to use the piece of glass, like a piece of magnifying glass, to start a fire?
Yeah, when you're in the apocalypse, you have to survive, and your plane crashes over the Kodiak.
You ain't starting no fires with this.
Okay. Anyway, actually, you're not. That's a great point.
You can't even light this on fire.
That's not even useful to clean a wound.
Nope.
I mean, I guess
it's a liability, not an asset. So,
Luke says he's barrel dovetail for camping. Barrel. I love those guys.
You can't go wrong with a barrel.
Here's the problem, though. I think they kind of get a bad rap. Kind of in some of my whiskey groups, people kind of shit on them, and I don't know why.
No, because some of those whiskey groups,
just because they're blenders, give them a break. They have some great stuff.
They all get their nose in the air about NDPs.
Seagrass is one of the best things I've ever tasted. Like barrel seagrass is just magical.
There's a reason that it was in the top 5 whiskeys of 2022.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been drinking it well before that.
A couple years.
Like batch,
years.
Batch. They're up to like batch
21,
6,
22,
7, or 8. No.
I'm talking about the other barrel.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, those are in those batches. You're right.
Yeah.
Seagrass is way.
But there's a lot of it out there, and I just love that. Dovetail's great, and then those special those single barrels are really good too. So,
all right, here's my numbers.
Yeah. Let's get to your numbers.
How much did this bottle cost you? How much did this 750 of Old Crow cost?
I think I want to say it was like $10 to $15.
I was going to say $12.
Yeah.
I was just at the liquor store. It's $12.99.
Yeah, it's cheap.
And that's with whiskeyflation. So it was probably $9.99 in 2020, 2019. Okay. I think it's
Bourbon Cat.
a 1 for nose. I think it's a 1 for taste. And I think it's a 2 for value. I mean, sure, I think that there is a place for this, but it's not with me. That said, I'm going to give this a 47 out of 100, and it's not going to be a whiskey I go back to. 47.
Yeah. So, and hello, friends. Bourbon Cat has joined us. I believe, I don't want to call it today, but her birthday month is March 2003 is when I got her. As a
Oh
little
my
tiny
God,
kitten,
20
Jamba.
years.
So we could say today's her birthday.
Happy birthday, Jamba.
Happy birthday, Jamba. The 20-year-old still going strong, reading the chat, even though she's blind.
20 years.
Unfortunately.
20 years old.
20 years young. The Bourbon Cat, as you have seen on the show a handful of times.
Well, it's good to have
when
you
she
there,
hears
Jamba.
us, she still comes down off her perch.
She sure does.
And moseys on down to join the Barrel Buddies.
She sure does.
She knows now. It's part of the tradition.
I love it. All right, so what's your number?
Jamba, you're getting some happy birthdays in the chat.
Oh, happy birthday, J Boo.
I'm kind of with you in the 40s. I had a number before you said yours, and I was yeah, she can drink next year.
And you were talked out of it.
21 next
I'm
year.
gonna guess your number originally was 36.
No, my number originally was 40.
Okay.
But some of the things you said, I definitely agree with. You said you gave it, what, a 47?
47. Yeah, I mean, there's some pleasant things about the taste, but nothing so pleasant that I'm like, ooh, yeah, pour me an Old Crow.
But I think about this, though. Do we want to rate it under 50? Because under 50 almost makes me want to think it's kind of revolting, right? Isn't the
I think
point
I think
50?
under 30 is revolting, right? If you think about a 1 through 10 scale or a 1 through 100 scale, 30 and below is revolting. 30 to 60 is
It's kind of
60
meh.
to 80, 60 to 70,
Is,
60 to 80 is like, oh, you're piquing my
Oh,
intrigue.
yeah, keep
Keep
go
talking
back.
to me. 80
Yeah,
to 90 is, yeah, that's solid. I like that. 90 to 95, wow. And 95 to 100, mind blowing.
Bam. Yeah.
Maybe unregisterable. So yeah, you're thinking 40, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a flat 40.
Okay.
Not revolting, but I mean, guys, I talk about almost every show. I like the sweet bourbon whiskey. Just give me like a, I don't know, cake batter infused whiskey, and I'll drink it. And I'm all about like those heavier on the caramel, the creme brulee.
And there's none of that.
And there's
a
none of
little
that.
honey, a
It's
little bit of honey.
Dash. It's just a dash.
Just a little, but yeah, there's not a lot of sweetness here. It's very flat. Cardboard is going to be a taste that I continue to equate to this, but again, maybe more in a feeling than a flavor.
Yeah, and what throws me off is that dryness. It has this really strange dryness.
It's
that even with any bourbon, any whiskey I expect to drink, I expect to get a little sweetness out of it, and I don't get any of that whatsoever.
Dusty.
So
as Mrs. Askins
but
would
not
say,
in a good way. Not in a
it's
good way.
dusty, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not. And here it feels dusty, like the tumbleweed roads of an old Arizona ghost town.
But here's the thing, though, because you could almost say dusty is, I think of like, what do they call it in Armagnac, like Rancio, where that's an old,
where it's like,
an old taste,
rotting paper in a book. Yeah, I mean that's a good thing.
This I don't want to give this credit. I would say
it's dusty in a bad way.
That's
it's
the point.
It's dust as in the stuff that's collecting underneath your sofa.
Yeah, or like when you you pull up the mattress on the sofa or the little cushion,
and there's like grit,
the cushion, and it's got
and
that crap in the corners.
What is that, dust?
That smell is what this tastes like.
Ugh. Yeah, so turning my stomach on that.
Would you tell? Is there any reason whatsoever you would tell our viewers to go get a bottle?
No, I'd steer clear of this. On the bottom shelf bangers series, this is not a banger. It's
not
a blower.
At all.
It blows.
And it's disappointing because I thought we crushed it with the offering last week.
We did crush it.
Old Granddad.
Delightful. I will pour myself another. Thank you.
Yeah, I think after we close out the show tonight, that we're going to have to definitely pour something better than this.
Yeah, there'll be a little something. I mean, I still have it in my glass. I haven't even finished it.
You just got to go for it.
And it's like pee. I mean, looking at it, it's like
Here,
pee.
You said you hyper decanted it, but that color really hasn't changed. I mean, it maybe darkened up a little bit.
It darkened up a little bit,
but
it looks like a sugar-free maple syrup.
No, I said like that Listerine, the old school Listerine.
It's a darker Listerine,
like the original recipe.
It's a little darker Listerine,
but it's quite the story, isn't it? I mean,
great story.
I can't believe like this has this. Then this really is like nothing. It's just the name. It's just Old Crow and name.
Hey, good job, Beam. You bought a name. You're the Black Rock of whiskeys. For those of you who are following us and follow other financial-minded podcasts and shows, then you'll hopefully find that joke funny.
Hey, why don't you tell us what we got coming up? Do you want to talk a little bit about, we have a big announcement show.
Well, I'm going to announce the announcement because there's no reason
it's
to keep
really
it.
an announcement.
I'm going to tell you a story. Can we stick around for just
Really
one more
quick.
story? This
Yeah.
will be a
So
fast
for our
story.
friends that are, if you're here just for the review,
No, stick
40
around. You want to hear this?
40 and 44, 47.
47.
There it is. Now we're going to talk about Barrel Buddies a little bit.
Okay.
So
I'm going to shout out to my boy Vinny Golatrella
Vinny with Beer Zombies here
and
in
Chris.
Las Vegas. And
Go back
Chris.
and watch the show. We're going to put the link to the Beer Zombies Elijah
We never
Craig
do in post.
show in the comments.
Oh,
we're
we
not
can
going to
do
put
it
it
in
on
the
the video.
comments. Yeah.
We'll drop that in the comments. But listen, these guys know what they're doing. Great people. Vinny's like calling. He's texting us, going, "Hey, I need to talk to you guys."
Yeah. So Beer Zombies Boulder City.
Got to talk to you guys. And
Let's
I'm like,
get to it.
fine.
Let's move on.
So finally, I get there on Monday. I show up and I'm like, "Hey, can we just talk face to face?" Sure. And he starts telling me this story about how, oh, well, we've got this
Irish
whiskey coming out,
Is it Slain?
and
Slain
it's
Irish
Slain
whiskey?
Irish whiskey,
Never heard of these guys.
and we're going to be dropping it. And the distributor really wants us to work with an online presence, and they really want us to work with a show to really push us out there, an influencer, if you will.
So,
and we said sure, and I thought he was giving me the letdown, because he's like, so he has some recommendations, and I'm like, oh, it's the letdown. That's what this is. And he's like, and the distributor, he says, listen, we have a recommendation for you to work with a local influencer, but you got to keep an open mind because they're a little different and they're a little honest. But I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great for you guys. And I'm like, sure. Who? Now they're on the edge of their seat. What do you got? And this gentleman, and if you're watching, I'd love to meet you. Maybe we met already, because I can't believe that there's a distributor that likes our show who came and said, you got to work with the Barrel Buddies.
Oh, yeah, that is a great story.
And then Vinny and Chris are like, shut up, we know them. Get out of here. And he's like, no, we'll set something up. And Vinny literally says, no, like, I showed him my phone. It was like, no, I know them. Like, I can call them. Don't worry about it. So on March the 17th for St. Patrick's Day,
live from Beer Zombies Boulder City,
we're going to be doing,
folks. We're going to be doing the Slain Irish whiskey review. We're going to be I think we're going to start the show 2 hours earlier. So we're going to try to aim for starting the show at 5 p.m. Pacific on Friday, March 17th. So if you aren't out
for our East Coasters drinking green beer, you'll miss us, because you'll be in
you'll be in a bar, or you're done already. Maybe you're at home and you're all hammered and you want to get on YouTube and start heckling the
hopefully you're like half down in the gutter, and
which is what we always love.
The phone rings and goes, oh, ding ding ding, because you've liked and you've subscribed, and it says the Barrel Buddies are live. You're like, hey guys, watch these guys, they're funny.
Had some green beer, ready for some whiskey.
Let's write something to them in the chat. It'll be funny. Anyways, March 17th.
March 17th, just be ready, put it on the calendars. We'll have more announcements, kind of like the what our kind of itinerary, what the flow is going to be.
Yeah, we're still working out some schedule.
We're working out scheduling, but we're thinking like around 5 o'clock.
But in all honesty, I'm touched.
8 p.m. Eastern.
I'm touched.
We're
and I'm honored,
amazed that there's some local distributor that knows our show,
and that Vinny and Chris trust us with their brand.
Exactly, and that we'll be there. We're going to have a little pop up. Might have a little bit of swag. If you're in the Boulder City area, please come out.
Yeah,
they're going to have some crazy beer specials. So Beer Zombies, they're going to be doing, as you guys know, Montucky is one of their big feature hits out there. Montucky is one of our favorite. You call them lagers? I guess you'd call them a lager.
I call it a pounder because it's a tall boy. It's like 7%, and you can buy them for $2 a can.
Not to talk beer, but go out there if you like lagers. Get some Montucky cold snack if you haven't had it. It's got the horse on the front.
We actually met thanks to Beer Zombies.
Yeah,
we ended up meeting the guy who created Montucky. Yep. And we met the brewer.
Cool dude.
He's great. Yeah, volunteer fireman for a long time, and then became a brewer. So Montucky cold snacks.
And they're just getting more and more popular. Like, I think we've been drinking them for a few years under the radar.
But we have. Not under the radar anymore. Used to, I could get a 6-pack for under $6. Now I can get a 6-pack for $9 at the local grocery.
So if you guys have it, Montucky cold snacks. It's got like a horse, like a white horse on the front, blue can.
Yep.
Go find them. Go to your grocery store if you're picking up some beer.
All right, enough beer.
All right. That's really the show.
And then I think next week we're going to bring out an old favorite, an original rye that was top of the American whiskey trade once upon a time that is today a bottom shelf banger. Tune in next week for Old Overholt.
Old Overholt. So for some reason, Old Overholt I can't even barely say that. It's such a tongue twister. I'm not a fan of it. I think I've had it once and it was complete, as I would say, dog.
Really?
Not good.
I've heard that Old Overholt is actually decent.
See, and I don't really remember, and I don't know why it has like
it's a Buffalo
bad memory.
It's a Buffalo Trace product, right?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it really. I don't know. I have to
now
look it all up.
I'm fairly certain that Old Overholt is an original Buffalo Trace product.
Did he know?
Maybe a Weller product, actually.
Was he involved in the distillation creation of the whiskey? Oh man, I'm trying to relate it to James Crow.
Stop it. Just get out of here.
Screwed it up.
All right.
Screwed it up.
Thanks.
Screwed it up.
And that means our time is up.
For the Barrel Buddies, I'm James.
And I'm BJ. We'll see you next week. Don't miss out. And follow, like, share, subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.